Welcome. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a world where businesses, maybe even yours, are on the front lines in the global fight against financial crime. It's a high-stakes role, and you might already be in it without even knowing.
So what does that even mean to be on the hidden front line? Well, it means you're a gatekeeper. You're the first line of defense, really, against dirty money trying to sneak its way into our economy. And that's the big question we're tackling in this explainer. Is your business one of them? The answer might just surprise you. So let's find out. All right, so let's get right to it. Who exactly are these businesses on the front line? Let's identify the players. Okay, they go by this acronym DNFBP. It's a bit of a mouthful, I know. It stands for Designated Non-Financial Businesses and Professions. In simple terms, we're not talking about banks here. We're talking about other types of businesses that, because of what they do, are at a super high risk of being used by criminals to launder money or even finance terrorism. And this idea of being a gatekeeper is absolutely crucial. Just think about it for a second. These businesses are sitting at key entry points into the whole financial system. They handle big transactions, they help set up companies, they deal in things like gold and diamonds. This position means they could either accidentally let crime slip through, or they can be the ones to stop it dead in its tracks. So, who are we talking about specifically? Well, it's a pretty diverse group, and you might see yourself on this list. We're talking about jewelers and anyone dealing in precious metals, real estate agents, auditors and accountants, yep, even lawyers and notaries, and folks who provide trust in company services. If your business is in one of these sectors, then hey, you're on the front line, and this explainer is definitely for you.
Okay, so if you've just realized your business is a DNFB, you're probably wondering, what now? Well, there's a specific rulebook you've got to follow. Let's break down what you need to do.
Right, this is the big question, isn't it? What does this all look like in the real world? What do you actually have to do day in and day out to make sure you're playing by the rules? It really comes down to these 4 pillars. First up, you have to identify and assess your own risks. Are you dealing with risky clients or countries? Second, you have to know your customer. That means doing your homework, your due diligence, to check who they are and where their money is coming from. Third, you need to appoint a compliance officer. This has to be a real person whose job it is to oversee all of this. And finally, number 4, you have a legal duty to report anything that looks suspicious, and you can't drag your feet on it. And I have to be crystal clear here. These are not just some friendly suggestions or best practices. No, these are hard and fast legal requirements. And if you don't follow them, there are very, very serious consequences. Which brings us to our next point. What happens when you drop the ball on these duties? It's time to talk about the price of failure. So let's get real. What actually happens if you mess this up? Well, the answer is written in some very large, very clear numbers. Okay, let's look at some real-world examples from the official rulebook. Let's say you just forget to train your employees on these anti-money laundering rules. That's a 50,000 dirham fine. Right there. It just shows how seriously they take every single step, even internal training. Now, let's kick it up a notch. What happens if you tell a customer, hey, just so you know, we found a suspicious activity report on you? That's called tipping off, and it's a huge no-no. It'll cost you a cool 200,000 dirhams. The integrity of these investigations is everything. And here we are, the big one. For major failures like doing business with a shell bank or failing to act immediately when you find a customer on a sanctions list, the fine is a staggering 1 million dirhams. The stakes just could not be higher. And believe me, what we've just seen is only scratching the surface. The full list of violations is incredibly long and detailed, covering pretty much everything you can think of. Just look at this table. You failed to do your basic customer homework before a transaction? That's 100,000 dirhams. You don't take those extra due diligence steps for a high-risk client? Bam, 200,000. Even something that sounds like simple admin, like not appointing a compliance officer, will set you back 50,000. And delaying a report? Another 100,000. There's a price tag attached to every single mistake. But wait, it gets worse. If you think you can just pay a fine and call it a day, think again. Check out this quote, pulled directly from the official cabinet decision. If you're a repeat offender, the ministry can literally double the fine. This isn't just a cost of doing business. It's a penalty that gets bigger and bigger the longer you ignore the rules. So,
After all that, let's bring it all home. What's the big takeaway here? Why does any of this really, truly matter to you and your business? Here's the bottom line. For these types of businesses, compliance isn't just some boring back office department. It's not a box-ticking exercise. It is a core survival strategy. Getting this right is just as important to staying in business as, making a profit. And that brings us to our final thought for today, the world of financial crime. It never stands still. It's always changing. As technology evolves and criminals get smarter, the risks are